You were trained to believe that being nice would keep you safe. That if you stayed polite, agreeable, easy to deal with, the world would reward you with respect. But look at your life honestly. How many times did politeness protect you? And how many times did it erase you? Because there's a truth most people avoid. Niceness without strength doesn't earn respect. It trains people to overlook you. At first it feels peaceful. You avoid tension. You stay quiet. You keep the mood light. You don't make things awkward. But the price is always the same. Each time you swallow your words, you make your presence smaller. Each time you say yes while your body screams no, you teach yourself that your needs come last. Each time you apologize for taking up space, you tell the room you don't belong in it. And something subtle happens over time. People don't become kinder. They become comfortable overlooking you. They stop checking in. They stop listening closely. They assume you'll adjust. They assume you'll accept less. Not because they're evil, but because human beings respond to what you consistently tolerate. The Stoics understood this clearly. They weren't teaching people to become harsh. They were teaching people to become whole. Because virtue without firmness is fragile. Kindness without boundaries becomes self-erasure. Patience without self-respect becomes silent surrender. And if you live in silent surrender long enough, you don't just lose respect from others. You lose respect for yourself. It starts in small ways. The habits you barely notice. You say sorry before you even think. Someone bumps into you and you apologize. You ask a valid question and you lead with, "Sorry to interrupt." Your order is wrong and you say, "Sorry about that." And what's wild is you didn't cause harm. You didn't violate anything sacred. You simply existed, made a request, took up space. But sorry stopped being remorse. It became a shield, a way to soften your presence so you feel safer around other people. And when you use sorry like that, you're not being polite. You're lowering yourself. You are quietly telling others, "My time is less important than yours. My thoughts are less important than yours. My presence needs permission." Even if nobody says anything, that message sticks. Because language is posture. It positions you in the social world. And when you constantly position yourself as guilty, uncertain, and small, people begin to treat you that way. Not always intentionally, but consistently. So here's the shift. Stop apologizing for harmless things. Replace it with grounded acknowledgement. Instead of "Sorry I'm late," say "Thanks for your patience." Instead of "Sorry to bother you," say "Thanks for taking a moment." Instead of "Sorry I forgot," say "Thanks for the reminder." It's subtle, but it changes everything. One asks to be forgiven. The other shows you belong. And belonging is the foundation of respect. Another habit is even more dangerous because it happens on your face. The nervous smile. There's a moment you felt but probably never named. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment. You're cut off mid-sentence. You're criticized in a way that feels like an attack. And you smile. Not because it's funny. Because your body learned that smiling is a way to stay safe. It's your nervous system saying, "I'm not a threat. Please don't escalate this. I'll disappear if you want me to." But that smile doesn't create peace. It creates permission. When you respond to disrespect with a smile, you silently communicate that it's acceptable. And people who are comfortable pushing limits will push further. Not necessarily out of malice, out of momentum. Because you set the tone. The Stoics didn't teach emotional suppression. They taught emotional alignment. They believed you should not be ruled by reaction, but you also shouldn't betray reality. And a smile that hides discomfort is a betrayal of reality. So practice this instead. Neutral stillness. Not anger, not drama, not a speech. Just calm eye contact. A steady face. A quiet pause. It does something powerful. It forces the other person to feel what they said. Silence becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, many people correct themselves because they realize their words landed heavier than they expected. Stillness held with intention is louder than any outburst. Another quiet weakness is the need to over-explain. You say no, and then you panic. You start stacking reasons like evidence in court. I can't because I'm exhausted, work is a mess, my family needs me, I haven't slept. But the more you explain, the weaker your boundary becomes. Because you turn your no into something negotiable. You make it sound like the real issue isn't your decision. It's your excuse. And excuses can be challenged. People poke holes in them. They offer solutions. What if I pick you up? What if we make it quick? Oh, what if we do it another way? And suddenly you're trapped, not by them but by your own over-explaining. Boundaries aren't math problems. You don't need to show your work. You're not asking to be found innocent. You're stating a choice. So say it clean. That doesn't work for me. And then stop. Let the silence stand. At first, that silence will feel uncomfortable because you're used to filling space with self-defense. But the silence is where your dignity lives. If you want to soften without collapsing, add a closer, not a defense. Thanks for thinking of me. I appreciate the invite. Hope it goes well. Kindness without submission. Another habit that weakens you is what happens at the very end of your sentences. You explain something clearly, then you undermine yourself with, "Does that make sense?" It sounds harmless, but the subtext is self-doubt. It hands the listener the authority to judge not just your message, but you. Instead, hold your ground. Invite conversation without asking for approval. What are your thoughts? Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to clarify anything specific. Those phrases keep you open without making you small. A similar habit hides in one tiny word. I just wanted to ask. Just checking in. It's just a thought. That word is a verbal flinch. It's you shrinking your message before anyone else can challenge it. But when you shrink your words, you shrink your presence. So remove it. For a week, cut the word just from your speech. It will feel too direct at first. That's not harshness. That's your spine returning. And when your words stop arriving with an apology attached, people begin to hear them differently. Not because you became louder, because you became clearer. Another habit that destroys respect is disguised as humor. Self-roasting. You walk into a room and say, "Don't expect much, I'm terrible at this." You make a small mistake and say, "I'm such a mess." You forget something and say, "I'm the worst." You think you're being relatable. But what you're actually doing is branding yourself. People remember the labels you repeat. And even if they laugh, their brain files it away. Over time, your jokes become your reputation. Not because they want to judge you, because you trained them how to see you. Real humility isn't lowering yourself. It's standing steady without needing to prove anything. So stop turning yourself into the punchline. Own mistakes without turning them into identity. Instead of "I'm so bad at this," say, "I'm getting better." Instead of "I'm a disaster today," say, "Not my best day, moving forward." That isn't arrogance. That is self-respect in language form. And the final betrayal is the one that drains your life quietly. Saying yes when you mean no. You say yes to avoid conflict. Yes to avoid guilt. Yes so people won't be disappointed. Yes because you want to be liked. And you keep giving your time like it costs nothing. But time is the one thing you never get back. Every fearful yes is a withdrawal from your own life. And the more available you are, the less value people attach to your presence. Not because they don't care, because what is always available becomes easy to take for granted. The Stoics didn't preach doing more. They preached doing what is essential. So replace the reflex yes with a pause. Let me check and get back to you. That sentence is strength. It buys you space to consult your values instead of your fear. And here's what happens when you start living like this. Your no becomes clean. Your silence becomes firm. Your face stops performing comfort when you feel disrespected. Your words stop arriving with disclaimers. Your yes becomes rare and meaningful. And respect stops being chased. It forms naturally around you. Not because you demanded it, because you stopped negotiating your worth. If something in you recognizes this, it's because you're ready. Ready to stop shrinking. Ready to stop apologizing for existing. Ready to stop confusing politeness with self-erasure. The Stoics believed freedom begins inside you. In what you tolerate, in what you practice, in what you choose. So choose discipline over comfort. Choose clarity over approval. Choose grounded strength over people-pleasing. Because you were never meant to tiptoe through your own life. You were meant to stand in it, calm, steady, and whole.